so now we're moving on to the switch statement. A switch statement lets you create multiple branching points in your code. Now, this is good for simple menus when you know exactly which value the user should be providing. Without the switch statement, for say a 3 or a 4 item menu, we would need multiple layers of nested if statements to handle that menu. Here's a generic form of the switch statement. It tests choice against possible values. If choice is equal to a value, the program executes the statement that matches that choice. For example, if choice is equal to value 1, it executes statement 1 and then break. If it's equal to value 2, it executes statement 2 and then breaks, and so on and so forth. Now notice this break statement. When the program hits one of these break statements, it exits the switch structure. If choice doesn't match any of these values, the statement associated with the default case is run. These break and default statements are optional, but it's a good idea to use them. Without a break statement, our program would keep running through the remaining statements until it hit either a break or a default, or until the switch statement ended altogether. You'll usually want a break statement for each of your case statements. Without a default statement, your program won't know how to handle choices that you don't define. Always expect the unexpected and plan for it. Now let's see how this works with a program that allows the user to choose a difficulty level. So I'm in my text editor, and I'm going to save this new text file as menu_chooser.cpp. Title it menu chooser. This demonstrates the switch statement. Okay, to begin with, I include IOStream, as I always do, or at least so far I always do. There may be a time when you don't, but IOStream is one of those header files that is probably always going to be necessary. I'm going to give a directive that we're using namespace std, and then open up my main function. To start out, I need to display the menu to the user, and they need to know what the difficulty levels are. So we'll take a moment here to just let them know what each of the difficulty levels means. Okay, now I'll go ahead and define an integer variable called choice, and I'll ask the user for their choice. Okay, now how are we going to handle this choice? Well, we're going to use a switch statement that tests the value of choice, and if the value is 1, then we will see out you picked easy, and then we break out of our switch statement. If they choose 2, tell them you picked normal, and break. Case 3. You picked hard, break, And last, we'll have our default. And remember, this is a catch-all. This is for anything that they enter that we haven't really accounted for or don't expect. And in this case, it'll be an illegal choice. Now, with the default statement, we don't need a break because that is the end of our switch structure. So we just close our switch structure. We'll return 0 and close out our main function. Save the file. And now let's take a look. We'll go ahead and compile that. Menu chooser.cpp and run it. Okay, so it's asking me what difficulty level. I will choose number 1. It says I picked easy, and the program ends. Let's choose 3. Program ends after saying that I picked hard, and 2 says normal. Now, let's see what happens if I put A. It says I made an illegal choice. Same if I put 0, or anything other than 1, 2, or 3. That is the default case kicking in, saying you made an illegal choice. That's pretty simple, pretty easy to do. Now I want to show you what happens if you omit those break statements. I've already written this code in advance, and you can see here I have the same case statements, but I've left off the breaks. So I'll go ahead and compile that code and run it. Now, if I choose 1, it tells me that I picked easy, that I picked normal, that I picked hard, and that I made an illegal choice. If I go with number 3, it tells me I picked hard and I made an illegal choice. So you see what's happening is it starts executing code at whatever case matches my input, but then it never stops because we don't break. So that's why it's important to include the breaks. And if I hadn't included the default, let's just see what would happen if I gave it the wrong code or the wrong value. We'll compile this, run it, and I'll put 5. The program ends. It doesn't give us any data because it doesn't find a case that it can use. This sort of thing will lead to unexpected results and programs closing before they're really supposed to. So that's why it's important to include a default case. All right, that is all for today. We will look at the do while loop either tomorrow or Friday. Hope you guys understand all of this. If you have any problems, let me know. I do plan on being in the office Thursday, January 24th from 6 to 8. So if you're having any difficulties, come on by and see me. Thanks. Have a great night.